Uh, Good afternoon. Today we are going to be doing the questions which we're doing on day 2. This is day 2, winter classes. Sorry, it's day 2, JENN winter classes. Day 2, winter classes, the topic which was being done here, as you can see, it's functions. So when you come across this channel, AfriEdu, don't forget to subscribe and share. So we are going to start with question 5, which is saying sketched below is the graph of fx, which is equal to a over x minus p plus q, having the domain, which is from negative infinity to 1, union from 1 to positive infinity. So once we know the domain of our rational function of our hyperbola, it means we can be able to get the equation of the vertical asymptote. So in this case, it means the equation of the vertical asymptote is given as x equal to 1, which is this value here, which is helping us to get the domain. Then the graph of f casts the y-axis at 0, 1. If you check here, where we are having our y-intercept, then a line of symmetry of f is given by gx equal to that. Then this is the graph that we are given. This is our gx, this is our fx. Then we go to our question. So the first question, it's saying write down the value of p. You are required to write down the value of p. So if we are to check from our question, this p is obtained on the denominator, and we use this to get the equation of the vertical asymptote. So we equate the denominator to 0. So we are going to have that is our question 5.1 there. So our question 5.1, the equation of the asymptote, we equate the denominator, which is x plus p, to 0. So our x is equal to minus p. But if we still remember from our given domain, we were given a domain here, and we used the domain to formulate the equation of the vertical asymptote. So it therefore means that the equation of the vertical asymptote was given by x equal to 1. So since this is representing the equation of the vertical asymptote, and this is representing the equation of the vertical asymptote, it therefore means that our minus p is equal to 1. We can therefore conclude that p is equal to negative 1. That is after negating everything here. Divide here by negative, divide here by negative to get our p being equal to negative 1. Then we go to equation 5.2. If you check equation 5.2, what are they saying? Here they are saying determine the equation of the horizontal asymptote of f. We need the equation of the horizontal asymptote. So we go to our graph. If we check here, we have our graph. Here is our graph, and this is the horizontal asymptote. But if you check, this point is the point of intersection of the horizontal asymptote and the vertical asymptote, this point. And it's having coordinates 1, y, which we do not know what's the value of our y. But we know that they are lying on gx, and gx is having the equation gx equal to x minus 3. So we are going to substitute that gx is equal to x minus 3. we go with that. So we are having gx. Here we are having gx equal to x minus 3. But if we are to check, we agreed that the point of intersection of the asymptotes here is lying on this particular line. So we substitute that value, that point which is 1y, in the function g. So it therefore means where there is g, we will put y being equal to, where there is x, we put 1 minus 3. So eventually our y is equal to a negative 2. And this is going to give us the equation of our horizontal asymptote. Then we go to the third question. It's saying calculate the value of A. Calculate the value of A. Then we go and check where are we finding, where is the A. If you check, A is obtained here in the given equation. This is where we are having A here in the given equation here. That's where we are having A. So we are going to copy that function. So fx is equal to, you copy as it is. So we are going to have our function. We are on question 5.3. So we are having fx, which is equal to x which is equal to A over x plus p plus q. That is the function that we are given, and this is the function that we are given. But with the information that we already have, we can safely conclude that fx is equal to A, so we are saying our fx is equal to A divided by x plus p, but p we agreed it's minus 1, so it becomes x minus 1 plus q. What's the value of q? Q helps us with the horizontal asymptote, so it means our q here is gonna be equal to minus 2. We put minus 2. We are left with A. So we go to our graph. If we check, when we arrive at our graph, we have to check, is there any other condition which is on our graph which has not been used? If you check, we already know the y-intercept there. So it means we need that y-intercept is the one which is going to help us to find the value of y. So we substitute the coordinates of this y-intercept, which is 0, 1. So it means we are going to substitute that value 0, 1. So here, it therefore means we are going to substitute 0, 1. So substituting 0, 1 in this function, it therefore means that we are going to have a point which we are going to substitute. What's the point? We are going to substitute point 0, 1 in our function. So where there is y, we have to take note that this part is the part which is representing our y. So where there is y, we are going to substitute 1 equal to A over, where there is x, we put 0. So it's going to be 0 minus 1 minus 2. We transpose the 2 to the other side there. It's going to be 3 being equal to A divided by minus 1. But if we are to check, this simply means 3 is over 1. So when we do cross multiplication, 1 times A, we are going to get our A being equal to 3 times negative 1, which gives us a negative 3. So this is our value of A Then we go to the next question. The next question is now saying, for which values of x is fx greater than or equal to 0? We go to our graph. We go to our graph. Here is our graph. We want where fx is greater than or equal to 0. So if we are to mark the part where the fx is greater than or equal to 0, if you check, it's from this point here, going up with our graph, but remember we are having an asymptote. That's where we are having our graph which is greater than 0. If we are saying a graph is greater than 0, we are simply saying where it's above the horizontal axis. So it means it's from this x value there up to that x value there, which is here we know it's 1. So in other words, it means one of our reference point in this case is the x-intercept of this graph, and the other reference point is this x value at this asymptote. So it means in this particular case, we needed to calculate the x-intercept. So you have to take note, these are other ways they will ask you to calculate x-intercept because it was not asked in this question. So you go and calculate the x-intercept. So it means we have our function. We now need to calculate the x-intercept. So we go to 5.4. So we are going to have 5.4. 5.4. So what is going to happen? So here is our 5.4. So we need to get the x-intercept. And we know that the x-intercept, we have to substitute y equal to 0. How to do that? So it therefore means our function, we write our function properly, our function fx. That's our function fx, which is being equated to a. We found our a to be a -3. Here it is. We found our a to be a -3, so we are going to substitute the -3. We are going to substitute the -3. So here it's gonna be equal to -3 divided by x plus p, which is -1. Then we are having -2. Then to get the x-intercept, substitute y equal to 0. So it means the 0 will be equal to -3 over x minus 1 minus 2. Transpose this one to that side. So when we transpose that, it becomes positive. We end up having a 2 being equal to a -3 over x minus 1. But this 2 is as good as over 1. So from there, we have to cross multiply. When we cross multiply, we are going to be left with 2, which is multiplying an x minus 1 being equated to a -3 when we multiply the 1 and the -3, solving that equation. So to solve the equation, we will end up having our 2x minus 2 being equal to -3. Transpose this one to this side, we will end up having a 2x being equated to a -1. When we divide both sides by 2, when we divide both sides by 2, divide there by 2, divide there by 2, it therefore means that our x gonna be equal to negative half. So conclusively, it therefore means that our coordinates of the x-intercept are going to be given by a negative 1 over 2, 0. So when we go to our graph here, it means the value of x here, the value of x there is negative 1 over 2. It's negative 1 over 2. There, negative 1 over 2. That's the value of x at this x-intercept. And our graph is above, which is from here going. So it means our solution for the question, we are now going to write our solution for the question. The question, because it was saying for which values of x is fx greater than or equal to 0, for which fx is above or on the x-axis. So it means our solution set is gonna be from negative half, because negative half is x of intercept. So this is going to answer the question. Therefore, it's going to negative half less than or equal to, because this is the x-axis, let's say, or equal to x, but you have to know that x is less than 1, because at 1 is an asymptote. Then the last part is saying, which is 5.5, is saying f undergoes a transformation to h where the domain and the range of h are the same as that of h, then the inverse, sorry, the first derivative h prime there, the derivative of h is negative on its domain. If we are to check here, we go on our graph. If we go on our graph, here it was positive, our fx, it was positive. In other words, it's increasing. So we want it to be decreasing. We would realize that this, we can put this arm here in this, meaning to say we reflect this about this line so that it will appear like this. And this one, if it's reflected, you appear like this. So it means we can reflect about this asymptote, or we can reflect about this asymptote, meaning to say this becomes there, it will be decreasing, and this will come here, it will be decreasing. So our final answer means that we can reflect about, so it means we can reflect about the vertical asymptote. We can reflect about the vertical asymptote. We can reflect about the vertical asymptote, or we can reflect about the vertical asymptote. So we said we can reflect about the vertical asymptote we can reflect about the vertical asymptote, and we realize that the equation of the vertical asymptote is x equal to 1. So we can reflect about the vertical asymptote, or we can reflect about the horizontal asymptote. What was the horizontal asymptote? Which we found to be y equal to -2. Then let's go to the next question. Here is our next question. This is what you are given. We are on question 6. In the diagram below, the graph of f, there is the graph of f. You are told that fx is equal to minus x squared plus 4x plus 5. And G is a straight line are drawn. Then you are given a point C with those coordinates. 3, 8 is a point of intersection of F and G. Then you are told that EH is drawn parallel to the y-axis. So it means this and this are parallel with E, a point on F, and H, a point on G. That is what we are given. Then let's go to the requirements of the question. If we are to check, the first part of the question is saying, calculate the coordinates of B. You are required to calculate the coordinates of B. To get the coordinates of B, B is the turning point. That is question 6.1. If we check, B is the turning point, though in the primary information there is not provided, but as you can see on the diagram, here is our B. It's a turning point there. Normally the questions must provide so that we do not just, but as you can see, it's a turning point. So, or they even highlighted, take note, they even highlighted here, they said B, the turning point of F. Kindly read the question in full so that we do not assume. So we are now going to have our B. We know if our graph in this form, the x value at turning point must be equal to minus B over 2a. This B and A will be taken from the standard quadratic function. We'll be taking from the standard quadratic function, which says the function fx we are taking from the standard quadratic function, where we know that our fx will be equal to ax squared plus bx, ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, we can now see that our x is equal to what? So our x is equal to a negative, our x will be equal to a negative, our b in this case is 4, which is the coefficient of x, all over 2a. Our a in this case is -1, the coefficient of x squared. So we would realize that eventually our x is equal to a +2 2. Once you get the value of x, substitute it in the original equation to get the corresponding y value. So it will therefore mean that our y will be equal to, substitute negative where there is x, we are going to put it's a 2 squared plus 4 where there is x, so we are saying a negative 2 squared there plus 4 plus 4, which is gonna be multiplied by a 2 plus 5. Then make sure you use your calculator to simplify that so that we do not make mistakes. So it means we are going to so it's gonna be a negative, open bracket, we have 2 squared plus 4 multiplied by 2, saving a plus 5. So eventually it's 9. It's 9, our final answer there. So therefore the coordinates of our B, we now have to write the answer because it wants the coordinates. We have to write the coordinates of our B. So it means our B gonna be given by a 2 and a 9. These are the coordinates of B. Then you have to take note there. We have to take note also to get the x value at the turning point. We can apply calculus. So you have to get the derivative of fx, the first derivative. So it means if we are going to apply rules, it's gonna be equal to negative 2x positive 4. That's the first step. Then equate the derivative to 0. So we at turning point, so we are going to say a negative 2x, a positive 4 must be equal to 0. You have to know that first derivative is equal to 0 for any function. Then from there, we are solving for x. So we end up having a negative 2x equal to, we transpose this 4, it goes to the other side. So it becomes negative. So it becomes negative 4. When we divide both sides by 2, coming here divided by 2, coming here divided by 2, we can therefore conclude that our x is equal to, take note, we are dividing by a negative 2, a negative 2. So we conclude our x is equal to 2. Once you get the x value, substitute in the original function to get the corresponding y value. Then you write our answer in coordinate form as required there. Then we go to the next question. Here, the next question, they were saying, show that the equation of line AC is given by that. What the equation of this line AC? So it means we need the coordinates of A, since we have the coordinates of C already. So for us to get the coordinates of A, we realized that our A there, if we go and check, did they say anything about A? So we go and check. But as we can see, our A is the x-intercept, our D is the x-intercept. So it means to answer 6.2, we needed to know the x-intercepts. So we are going to answer that one, 6.2. We want the x-intercept. We want the x-intercept. So we have to take note. To get the x-intercept, what do? We just have to know that to get the x-intercept, we are going to substitute y equal to 0 in our f. So there our y. So it means that equation, we treat this function as our y. So it means our 0 will be equal to minus x squared plus 4x plus 5. Then we can negate everything, dividing throughout by a negative. If we divide here by a -1, or multiply the whole thing. In other words, we can multiply the whole thing by negative. So we end up having a 0 if it's multiplied by a negative equal to, here it becomes positive x squared minus 4x minus 5. Then we have to solve that. So our 0 is equal to, we can factorize here. So factorizing, we are going to get x minus 5 x plus 1. Then equate each bracket to 0, either x minus 5 equal to 0 or x plus 1 equal to 0. Solving, so our x here is equal to 5, or our x is equal to -1. So the coordinates that we need, we want the coordinates of A. It means the coordinates of A becomes 0, negative, sorry, it's -1 because it's the x value. We start with the x value, -1, 0. These are the coordinates of our A here. Why is it we did not take 5? Because 5 is on the positive, but as we can see from our diagram, there, our A is negative. Kindly take note here. It was possible that apart from using the method of factorization, I recommend that we use the quadratic formula. So once you have your equation here, use your quadratic formula, we realize that our A is equal to 1, our B is equal to -4, our C is equal to -5. So using that, copy the quadratic formula. Your x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So Substituting, we are going to have minus b, it's minus 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is minus 4, squared minus 4. What's a? It's 1. What's c? It's a negative 5. All over 2. What's our a? It's 1. Then trust the calculator. So it means from there, you just have to use your calculator to simplify that. So using our calculator, we can go to our calculator, then substitute. It's gonna be minus 4 plus the square root of, so we are having minus 4 squared minus 4a, which is 1, c, which is minus 5, all over 2a, which is 1. So eventually we are getting an answer of 5. When we go and put a minus, we are getting a negative 1. So we are getting our answers to be x equal to 5 or x equal to minus 1. So whichever way, once you get, conclude that the coordinates of A are that. Now we need the required equation, because the question did not say get the intercepts. So we go what are the coordinates of C? Is 3, 8. So write the coordinates of C from there. We realize that the coordinates of C are 3, 8. Simplify that. So we need gradient, use gradient formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to give us the gradient. What's our gradient? Substitute to get your gradient. So this is equal to y2, 8, okay, it's 8 minus 0 divided by 3 minus 1. And when you punch that, we are getting 2. When we now have our gradient, Let's determine the equation. How do we get the equation? Our equation is y minus y1 equal to m x minus x1. So if we decide to take the point maybe -1, 0, point A. So using this point A, we can get y minus so it means we are now going to get y minus 0 equal to m, which we found to be 2. Our x minus the x value, which is -1. So we are having y equal to 2, open bracket, x plus 1. Then you simplify that. So y is equal to 2x plus 2. This becomes the required equation. This becomes the required equation. So this is the required equation. And you have to take note here. It's not always the case that we use, even if we were to use 83, let's check if we were to use 83 where we're gonna get the same answer. Let's check. It means we're going to have y minus y1, which is 8, equal to m, which is 2, then bracket, we are having x minus x1, which will be 3, so it's gonna be -3. So eventually it means we're going to have y minus 8 equal to 2x minus 6. Then you transpose this one to that side. When it's transposed, it was gonna be y equal to 2x minus 6 plus 8. It was gonna give us plus 2. So take notice, regardless of the point that you use, we're still going to get the same answer. Then it's shown, because they said show that it's shown. Then yeah, they had said show that gx is equal to that. So eventually, remember to write your final answer in the format that they want. So eventually, gx is equal to 2x plus 2 as required by the question. Then you go to the next question. So if we are to check, they are now saying calculate the maximum length of EH for F is greater than G. So let's do 6.3. 6.3. They want EH. They said F is greater than G. So the vertical distance between two graphs, we have to know that we just say graph on top minus graph below. So generally EH, the graph on top, we are already told it's F there. So it means that will be equal to Fx minus Gx. And then let us go and check. We have Fx, we know it. So this is gonna be equal to negative x squared plus 4x plus 5 minus the g of x, which is 2x plus 2. When you simplify that, we are going to get minus x squared plus 4x plus 4x minus. So in other words, we are going to have something like this. We are having 4x there, which is positive. Then when we simplify there, we are going to have minus 2x. So eventually 4x minus 2x, it means it's positive 2x. So here it's going to be positive 2x. Then we do again for the last terms. So for the last terms, we are talking of this 5, which is positive, minus the 2. So it's going to be a plus 3. Then take that. So this is the distance, EH, but the fact that they said maximum, the moment we see maximum, we can now determine EH prime, the derivative. So that will be equal to a negative 2x plus 2. And we have to know that at maximum, the derivative must be equal to 0. So 0 is equal to minus 2x plus 2, where at maximum, because they want the maximum. Then take this one to this side. If you transpose it, we are going to get a negative if it becomes positive when it transposed. So it becomes 2x being equal to 2. Then our x will be equal to here. And therefore means our x, take note, it therefore means our x will be equal to 1. This is after dividing both sides by 2. But the question did not want the value of x. It wants the maximum length. So eventually, maximum EH will be equal to, we substitute in that EX, but we substitute that value of x is minus. So it's going to be minus, it's going to be 1. 1 squared plus 2, 1 plus 3. So when you simplify this answer, it means the maximum length is equal to 4 units. Make use of your calculator. 4 units. And take note, for you to get this value of x, since here it's quadratic, it was possible that you can here. After getting, since it's quadratic there, at maximum, we are going to know that x at max is equal to minus b over 2a. So this is equal to minus our b, if we check, is 2 over 2. Our a there, it's negative 1. And when you substitute, simplifying, we are getting 1. Then once you get this 1, you substitute there in EH to get the maximum value of EH. Right? Then the last question was saying, given that Kx is equal to that, determine the value of M for which G is a tangent. So let us go and do that question. Let us go and do that question. So we are going to utilize here. So now we are on question 6.4. They said for which this is a tangent. If it's a tangent, what does that mean? For example, if a graph is like this and we now have a tangent, okay, let me just go. If it's a tangent, our graph is like this. So if that becomes a tangent, it means that it's going to be like this. We are going to have one solution. That is what it means. Here it's quadratic, so it means we are going to go to the nature of roots because we are dealing with quadratic. We have a quadratic function and a linear function, and if this linear function is a tangent, it means we are going to have one root, the graphs cut ones. So we have, for it to be a tangent, we have to equate kx there. What's our kx is going to be minus x squared minus 2mx, let's put the term with x together, plus 4x there. Then we put the ones without x, minus m squared plus 4m plus 5. If we are to check this, what I wrote here is the graph of kx, which is just rearranged. This must be equal to g. G is 2x plus 2, which is g. In other words, what is it that we did here? We equated our kx to gx. Then let's write it. So it means we are going to have minus x squared minus 2mx plus 4 x, we take the term with x there, it comes there, minus 2x, then minus m squared plus 4m plus 5. We take the 2 here, it goes there, minus 2 equal to 0. Then simplify this, we are going to be left with minus x squared minus 2mx, then plus 4 minus 2, it becomes plus 2x minus m squared plus 4m, then 5 minus 2, it becomes plus 3 equal to 0. But we said it's a quadratic and a tangent which are equated, and a straight line, linear function which are equated, and we are told the straight line is a tangent, therefore implies that there is only one point of contact. When we say there is one root, if we are to solve this equation, and this equation is quadratic, and we know that for one root, we know that b squared minus 4ac must be equal to 0. So we go to our equation b, taking from the standard equation. The standard equation is a x squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. That's the standard equation. So our b is the coefficient. Our b is the coefficient of x. And in this case, our coefficient of x here is what? It's minus 2m there plus 2. So if we are to check from what we have there in our equation, our b is equal to minus 2m plus 2. So we substitute that. It's b squared minus 4. What's our a? If you check, our a here is negative 1. So we substitute the negative 1. What's our c? Our c is the constant term, and in this case, the term without an x, we are having minus m squared plus 4m plus 3. So that's what we are going to substitute there, which is minus m squared plus 4m plus 3. That must be equal to 0. Taking from there, then we simplify. When we expand this bracket, just have to know that how to expand. So you need to revisit your algebra. So it means this, we are having minus 2m plus 2 sorry. So you now have to substitute. We are having minus 2m plus 2 squared there. You have to simplify that using your algebra. So it means here, when it's simplified, it becomes 4. We square this term, 4m squared. Then we save this times this times this. We are going to have minus 8m plus 4. But if you are not comfortable expanding that way, it means you need to go back to the basics, whereby you are going to multiply a binomial by a binomial. So what does that simply mean? It simply means we are going to have minus 2m plus 2, the first bracket. Because we said squared, we will put another one, which is minus 2m plus 2. Then we expand this and this. First, we are going to get 4m squared. Then this one and this one is gonna be minus 4m. This one, we are done with that. We come here. This one and this one is gonna be minus 4m. This one and this one, it's gonna be plus 4, which reduces to 4m squared minus 8m plus 4. Then here, minus is gonna be plus 4. Then we have a bracket, which is having minus m squared plus 4m. Yeah. Plus 3 is equal to 0. Simplify that. We are having 4m squared minus 8m plus 4. Remove brackets there, it becomes minus 4m squared plus 16. When you take this and that, 16m plus 12. This must be equal to 0. Then simplifying, we are going to see this 4m squared will go with that 4m squared. Then we have minus 8m squared plus 16m. This part. And this one, you would realize that we are going to get 8m b. Then we are having a 4 plus 16. 4 plus 12 is going to be plus 16, must be equal to 0. Then simplify. There, it means we now have to solve for our m. To solve our m, it therefore means that the 8m will be equal to a negative 16. Will be equal to a negative 16. Then divide both sides by 8. We'll end up having our m being equal to a negative 16 divided by 8. It's going to give us a negative 2. This becomes our final answer. Then let's go to the last question. Sorry. So here comes our last question. For Day 2. So we were given that question there. Then the first part, you are given fx is equal to a to the power x minus 1 for a is greater than 0. B is a point on f. Then the first part wants you to calculate the value of a. So to calculate the value of a, that is question 4.1. So you just have, that's 4.1. You just have to substitute the coordinates of B in F, meaning to say this part is our y. So where there is y, we are going to substitute minus 5 over 9. So we are going to put a negative 5 over 9 where there is y being equal to a, where there is x, we put 2, then minus 1. Then we transpose the 1 to that side, it becomes positive, so it becomes minus 5 over 9 plus 1. We are going to get a 4 over 9 being equated to a squared. To solve for a, we find the square root both sides, but we are not going to put plus or minus because we are told a is greater than 0. So conclusively, our a our a will be equal to the square root there. So our a here will be equal to 2 over 3. Then we are saying write down the range of f. For you to write down the range of f, number one, you need to know the equation of the asymptote. So what was the equation of the asymptote? You just have to know that you treat this part with exponent as 0. So the equation of the asymptote is y is equal to negative 1. Then once you know the equation of the asymptote, you have to know, is your graph above or below the asymptote? And here, since it's positive, there, it means it's above. If it's negative, it means the graph is below. So since our graph is above the asymptote, it therefore means that our range y is greater than negative 1. That becomes our range. So that's our question 4.2. Then the next question wants us to sketch the graph of f. The graph of f, clearly show the intercepts with the axis and the asymptotes. So to sketch the graph here, so that is question 4.3. Our graph is what? Our graph is x is given by y, or fx is given by fx is equal to 2 over 3 to the power x minus 1. Then what's the y-intercept? We have to know y-intercept, we substitute x equal to 0. So if we substitute x equal to 0, our y will be equal to 2 over 3 to the power 1. To the power 0 minus 1. So it means that our y-intercept there, as we can see, is 0. Our power there is 0. We have to take note there. Our power is 0. There is the why is it this thick? The power 0 minus 1. So we can punch that on your calculator. So it means y is equal to 0. So our intercept there is at 0, 0. Then how are we going to do that? So we are going to sketch our graph. Let me lower it a bit. This is our x-axis here. This is our x-axis. We draw here. That's our y. Then our asymptote, we found it to be at y equal to -1. So here it is. You have to take note here is 0. Our asymptote yeah. Here y equal to -1. That's our asymptote. Then we have to sketch our graph is going to pass through here, the origin, and you are given another point which is 2 negative, so which is somewhere here, which is the point that you are given is 2 negative 5/9. So eventually our graph is going to appear like this, passing through the x-axis and this one being, then you label our graph is f. Because the question say it clearly intercepts with the axis, and we also need to show the asymptotes. So that is our graph. There it is. Then it is further that C is a point on f at y equal to 19/8. Determine the inverse of, or determine the coordinates of this image when C is reflected about the y-axis. So in other words, you have to substitute this in C so that we get the corresponding x coordinate. So to answer question that one, it means where there is y, we are going to substitute this value. So by so doing, it simply means we are going to have to answer this question where there is y, we are going to put 19/8. This is our function. So it's gonna be 19/8 equal to a, we found our a to be 2/3 already, equal to 2/3 to the power x minus 1. So if we add the 1 on the other side, there, it means it's going to be 27 over 8. So it means here we end up having 27. Yeah. What's happening? We'll end up having 27 over 8. Here, we'll end up having 27 over 8. That is after transposing that 1 to that side. This will be equal to 2 over 3 to the power x. Then, to solve for that, as we can see, this one can be written as 3 over 2 to the power 3. This can be written as 3 over 2 the to the power 3, because 3 to the power 3 is 27, 2 to the power 3 is 8, being equal to 2 over 3 to the power x. But we have to take note that if we want to reciprocate, the moment you reciprocate the base, we change the sign of the power. So this can be written as 2 over 3 to the power changes sign, becomes negative 3, must be equal to 2 over 3 to the power x. So since in this case our bases are the same, since in this case our bases are the same, it therefore means our powers are equal. Sorry. It therefore means our powers, since our bases are the same, it means our powers are equal. So from there, we can therefore conclude that x is equal to a negative 3. Then we can write the coordinates of C. The coordinates of C can be written as negative 3, 19 over 8. Those are the coordinates of C. But the question is saying, determine the coordinates of this C prime, the image of C when C is reflected about the line y equal to x. You have to know when you reflect about the line y equal to x, we are getting the inverse. And to get the inverse, it simply means we interchange x and y. Therefore, from that, we can conclude that the coordinates of our C prime, we can therefore conclude that the coordinates of our C prime, we just have to interchange the x and y there. So let's check. So it will mean that C prime, the coordinates are going to be 19 over 8, and the other one being negative 3. These become the coordinates. Thank you very much. After watching the videos, don't forget to subscribe.